Hello there, sports gamers. Welcome on back into the channel. I'm Brandon Satterwhite, and we are back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by Bayko, who is one of the top MLB The Show players in the entire world, and he also just won the first qualifier tournament for the Tampa Bay Rays Sunburst Circuit Invitational Tournament. Bayko, how's it going, man?
I'm doing well. Excited to be here.
Well, to start off, can you just kind of tell us how long have you been playing MLB The Show? How did you get into it? And when did you kind of start playing competitively?
I've been playing MLB The Show since I can remember, like since I was a little kid with my brother. But I never really played too often. I would just play every once in a while, mainly during baseball season. Then around the time I want to say like maybe 12 or 13 when Fortnite came out. I just completely stopped playing MLB The Show. Um, literally couldn't stop buying the game, stopped playing. Was completely hooked on Fortnite. Loved playing that game, and it was free, so enjoyed that aspect of it. And then eventually, I think it was when MLB The Show 21 came out. Yeah, 21 came out. I started playing again. I bought the game, started playing again, started streaming. And yeah, things did well. Even off of streaming a toaster PS4 stream with that would constantly cut out and stuff like that. No face cam, but eventually got an Elgato, figured out how to connect it to the PC I played Fortnite on. And yeah, so 21 I started playing again, and 21 was when I started playing. I would say competitively. I wasn't very good, but I had a couple top nines in tournaments, which I would say is not too bad for first year. Then last year I was undefeated in tournaments on the run to summer circuit championship, and then I made a mistake, got disqualified, and then this year came back, third year playing competitively, and was able to win the first tournament of the year.
Yeah. So, are there any other games that you play either competitively or for fun? I know you mentioned Fortnite. Do you still play that?
Yeah, no, I haven't played Fortnite in probably since I started playing MLB again. So maybe in like 3 years, I've probably played about 45 minutes of Fortnite. And that's it. I played a little bit of Valorant actually off and on when I was taking a break last summer. And the summer, I think like from when it first started until last summer was when I started playing it. I actually really liked that game, but I couldn't play enough to keep up with all the new agents being added. So I stopped playing that, started playing a little CS:GO, got bored of that because every other game there'd be a bunch of cheaters in it. I'm just like, this is not fun. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I started dabbling more in PC games. My whole life I've always played sports games, Madden, 2K, NHL, MLB. That's pretty much it. Never even really played Call of Duty growing up, but yeah, I mean now it's pretty much just MLB, Madden. I do play Madden when MLB season kind of dies out, and then other than that, the occasional Valorant game or CS:GO game with my buddies, but that's about it.
Okay. So, let's talk a little bit about the Sunburst Circuit that the Tampa Bay Rays are putting on. It's a $10,000 tournament, and it's a little bit different from the other MLB The Show tournaments we've seen in the past because everyone has to use the Tampa Bay Rays. So, was there any sort of difference in how you prepared for this tournament as opposed to the ones that are more Diamond Dynasty based?
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm going to be completely honest, I would say my preparation was probably, even though it could be the thing that separates me, because I feel like my game intelligence is probably my biggest strength. It really wasn't. I didn't prepare too much specifically for the tournament until the finals. Really, it was really just playing, just getting in a groove of playing for a week or two straight on every day on Legend for 2 to 4 hours minimum. That was pretty much it. Just a week or two of after taking a day off here and there, just a week or two of just playing every single day for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours minimum. That was pretty much how I prepared. Then I got a lot of buys early on in the tournament. People just didn't show up and whatnot, and then I had to play. I want to say maybe like 7 or 8 games to get to the finals, maybe six. Um, First four opponents weren't really too strong, so thankfully I kind of got to use that as my preparation. Experimented with the pitchers, the hitters, kind of figure out how is this going to play with guys who have 46 contact or 46 power or whatever, right? How is this guy's swing compared to this guy's swing, right? So I got to use my first few games in the qualifier to kind of test that stuff out. So I was very fortunate for that. And then yeah, once I got to the semis and championship, I felt like my preparation was really just in the early rounds of the tournament. I knew that certain players I played against that I was playing against that I had watched play, and other people I was going to use Zach Eiflin. and then other people I was gonna just use McClanahan, and I knew how to pitch with both of them. McClanahan, spam the circle change. Eiflin mix in circle, sinker, cutter, occasional circle change and four seam. That's pretty much. I mean, in terms of preparation, the biggest thing is just understanding, Francisco Mejia, right? A guy like him, for example, great swing off the bench, even though he has horrible stats, right? So that's a guy that I might sub in a situation where I don't really have any bench bats left. Or, for example, center field, don't hit the ball, try not to hit the ball to center field, right? Because once we started playing at Tampa Bay, you couldn't really now. Things like that where you can prepare a lot before the tournament, but it's really just like playing tournament games that gets you the practice you need. And I think even though I know past tournaments haven't been Tampa Bay Rays format, I think that they did. That was really my biggest preparation for this. And then obviously the first couple games that I didn't really have to sweat too hard. I got to experiment with things, test out certain cards, see their swings, and then really just I would just go to custom practice and just hit for 30 minutes before the semis, final, and the finals, and that really got me warmed up and prepared.
So let's jump into the finals. You're going up against Goat RP, who has been to several finals for previous tournaments, such as yourself. So two of the best MLB The Show players going at each other in this best of three. And that first game was really close. You jumped out to that early lead 2-0, and he just kept trying to claw back. And he had probably 3 or 4 different scenarios where you had multiple guys on base, and you were able to get out of it without giving up any runs. What is your strategy for getting out of those jams like that?
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing was that I never put myself in a position where he had guys on base, um, and would have one of his better hitters up. So, if you look at the game, you'll see that there was not, I was using Eiflin, so you'll see there was not any situation where Josh Lau was up with. I don't think Josh Lau was up with the runner on base all game, so that was a huge thing for me. Given that I was using a right-handed pitcher, and that was, pretty much the only hitter I was like super super scared of pitching to. And then really just I don't know. I sequenced really well. I mixed my pitches really well, and we both were struggling hitting that game. Obviously, as this, the score would tell you. But I feel like it really just came down to the fact that I forced some of his worst swings of the entire game in the most important situations of the game, where I would sequence in a way where I would try to get certain swings out of him, and I just was able to execute. So I wouldn't say there's anything in particular that I really did, but besides just sequencing well and knowing how to pitch to certain swings. For example, bottom of the ninth, 1 out, bases loaded, Christian Betancourt up. I knew how to mix in a way that I would be able to get either a really late swing on a circle change or fastball in, or an early swing on a slider. And I actually got both of those, and then was able to strike them out from that. So it's really just sequencing when it comes down to that stuff, and being able to execute pitches in the right spots.
So there was one particular one that when I was watching and it happened, I was just really excited about. Guys on the corners, 2 outs, and he hits a ball right back up the middle, and it bounces off your pitcher's leg, and you're able to still get the out and keep that 1-run lead late in the game. What are you thinking when you see that ball bounce off his leg?
Yeah, so when he made the swing, I was excited because he made the exact swing I was trying to get. Which I mean, if you watch the first game back, you'd see that pretty much every single one of his swings that he has with runners on base, he does exactly what I'm trying to do. Like I'll throw a cutter out and he'll roll over. Sometimes it might squeak through, sometimes it might not. So I don't remember that exact situation. I think it might have been like a sinker out to a lefty and he like rolled it over, or maybe it was a cutter out to a righty. But I just remember it was not a great swing. It was weak contact, and at the end of the day, you just kind of have to be happy with forcing a player of that caliber to make weak contact. If it happens to drop, it drops. But I was just as soon as I saw it hit the pitcher's leg, I was just like, I was basically just telling myself or telling the virtual pitcher, get it, get it, get it, get it, throw it, throw it, throw it, throw it, right? Just I was very fortunate that iPhone blocked the ball with his ankle or whatnot, stopped dead in his tracks, and he was able to pick it up and throw him out.
So you're able to go on and win that one 2-1. Very close game, but now you've got the first one, just need one more. And then sadly there were some technical difficulties. The rest of the series had to be delayed a few days. Did you work on anything in particular during that time period that you had seen in that first game?
Yeah, so if I'm being honest with you, I actually didn't. like it sounds really nonchalant, really arrogant, careless, but I don't know. I didn't really feel like I had anything I needed to work on beyond, maybe hitting a little bit. I felt like my pitching was there, and I didn't feel like there was anything specifically with Rays players that I needed to work on. So, if I remember correctly, I took like that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then I think Thursday and Friday I came back, started playing some ranked. I think I got 2 to 4 hour shifts in. Felt comfortable at the plate. Felt like I was hitting well again, and that's what it came down to, in my opinion. Was in the second game was obviously, I figured things out at the plate a lot better, and that came down to two things. One was I have had so much experience using the Rays now, and it allowed me to know what kind of swing certain cards have. So, I mean, if you want me to, I can. If you don't want me to keep rambling, I'll stop. But I can get into literally every single player on the Rays team swing and how it fares against certain pitches compared to your average swing or your typical lefty or right-handed hitter, right? So yeah, that pretty much I already had in the back of my mind. I knew how every player's swing kind of like function on a mechanical level, and then pitchers, I had already known how their pitches worked, so it really just came down to feeling loose, getting my hitting ready for the day, and then or I think it was Wednesday and Thursday. It was when I started playing again because the final was on Friday. So I took that Monday, Tuesday off. Wednesday, Thursday, we started playing again. Then Friday, we had the final. I went to class, hopped in, submitted my essay, hopped in the shower, got out of the shower, played one great game, hopped in custom practice for 30 minutes or an hour, just sitting, hitting to max speed, Zach Eflin sinkers and cutters, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and you completely dominated that second game, ended up winning it 11-2. Was there a specific point during that game where it started to creep in your mind, okay, I think I've got this. I think I'm gonna win this.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, when I jumped out to, I don't remember what it was. It was like 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 lead. I was feeling pretty confident. When he got one back, I was kind of like, all right, hold on a second, it's not over yet. Even if you do lose this game, he makes amazing comeback. Get a third game at home. So I was trying not to really. I was just trying to like compose myself, tell myself things that would kind of help calm me down. And that was able, by telling myself, putting those positive thoughts in my own head, kind of like controlling my thinking, I was able to keep myself calm enough to pile on more. And he was really hitting well that game. I know it didn't look like it because he only had 2 runs. But obviously, I would say he was hitting quite as well as me, which is why I was able to get the edge. But when he was stringing together those runs, putting together 1 run, 2 runs, or those 2 runs, I guess individually, he was stringing together hits. That were really good swings back to back to back to back to back, right? And so it really came down to, okay, if he gets a hit here, it's fine. He gets a hit, you're fine. I just decided to kind of pitch more aggressively, and then yeah, once I got that 6-1, once it went from 6-1 to 7-2, 9-2, once it got to 9-2 and was in the eighth, and then the game did disconnect. Once the game disconnected, I was like, kind of like, all right, the game disconnected, but I think I'm gonna be able to pull away with this one. I think it was like the seventh inning, eighth inning, whatever. And then once the game disconnected at 9-2, I'm like, all right, we don't want the game to disconnect. I don't want to get my hopes up. I got to, play 2 more innings, but that's kind of when I knew for sure. I'm like, all right, this one's over.
Yeah, and so you did end up winning it. You swept the entire tournament, didn't lose a single game in the entire tournament, completely dominated, and you are the first competitor in the summer or in the Sunburst Circuit showdown in Orlando later this summer. It's one of the first LAN-play finals for a major MLB The Show tournament. How does it feel getting to be one of the competitors in sort of a historic moment for MLB The Show esports?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously MLB The Show is somewhat important part of my life. I'd say there's you know if I'm being honest, there's not enough money in it for me to be like it's the focus of my life. I got school that's more important, extracurriculars. So like I like to golf. I enjoy golfing a decent amount more, at least just as much as MLB The Show, right? So there's plenty of other things I got going on in my life. Businesses I'm trying to start. I got a job I'm working, right? So all these things that I'm doing that obviously take precedent. But when it comes strictly to MLB The Show, something that I've loved my whole life, and that I really do hope blows up and becomes something that can be the focal point of many people's lives, and already is for some streamers. But in terms of a competitive standpoint, it's not quite at that point yet. I feel blessed because I know at the beginning of Madden, you had your guys like Skimbo, Problem Right, who, those were the big names at the beginning of the Madden scene. And obviously, you have your guys now who are winning the same kinds of tournaments they're winning and making 10x, 20x, sometimes 50x the amount of money that they're making. And that's very, very special for those guys. Henry, Pavin, all those guys who have made money in the modern scene, very special for those. Noah. But I think the bigger thing is like being able to say like, oh, I was the OG. I was one of the ones that, I won that first tournament, or I made that to the finals of the first ever LAN. You know what I mean? I feel like that kind of, for me at least, that's going to be something that's very special. If MLB The Show does happen to blossom like these other sports games we're seeing, blossom over the past 5 to 10 years. I think that's what's going to really be happy. Something that's makes me happy about my time in the MLB The Show community, more so than just like oh, I won the $25,000 virtual summer circuit, fall circuit. That's awesome. I'd rather win $25,000 than 10 or 15 than 8, as the case may be. But being able to say, I played the first LAN, I think it's going to be something that's a lot more special, at least for me, than the extra 7,000 I might have won if this was one of the circuit tournaments. And you never know, I could win one of those too. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think being a LAN, like you said, being a LAN tournament, the first ever LAN, getting to go to the Rays game and whatnot, going on that day before the tournament, meeting all the staff that have put this thing together, talking to them about the show esports, all the opportunities that this is bringing, and being an in-person event, is something that is very special. I like you said, you couldn't have said it better. It's just something that's very special.
Yeah, and you mentioned the other circuits. You keep playing like this, you'll definitely be in contention for those. One more question here as we sort of wrap this thing up. You mentioned the Rays trip, you mentioned Meet People. What do you think you're most excited for with this trip down to Orlando later this summer?
Yeah. So I mean, um, I'd say there's like two main things. One is like, honestly, it's like I know these dudes like swings and pitch mixes and everything so well that it's just like gonna be kind of like cool seeing them in person, because like there's no other team where it's like I've seen know how they work in MLB The Show, and like I see their exact bat path, stuff like that. Where like from MLB The Show, when I watch real games, I understand how bat paths work. I understand that there are certain guys who, there's a specific reason with their swing why they, are better at adjusting to off speed pitches than others, right? They don't have as lengthy swings, they're not as pull heavy, whatever it may be. I think just seeing all those like nuances that, really only like the top MLB The Show players, and when I say top, I mean top 5 or 10, not even top like 50 or 100, like things that really only the top 5 to 10 MLB The Show players can really see, which is I guess like the biomechanics of the swing. Seeing that kind of stuff that only, like I said, top 5 to 10 MLB The Show players see, and I guess professional scouts and managers see. Seeing that stuff in person, like getting to kind of like put it all together at the game, is going to be something that I think is really cool. And then I guess the other thing is I'm hanging out with one of my buddies that I've met from MLB The Show. I'm actually spending that Friday and Saturday at his house in Tampa, before we go to the game on Sunday, and then head over to Orlando for the tournament on Monday. So yeah, I think that those two things, seeing all like the biomechanic stuff, all that stuff really like come together from a virtual game to real life, seeing it in person, something that I've actually spent a lot of time doing, which is with the Rays team. And the second thing is also like whoever my competitor is too. It'll be fun hanging out with them, seeing them in person, even if it's someone that I'm not necessarily great friends with. It'll just be a cool experience, seeing them in person at the tournament. Just kind of like hanging out, kicking it. But yeah, that hanging out with my buddy Henry, and then and my fellow competitor, probably gonna be Nutty, Kevin. But if it's not, I'll be shocked. But it'll probably be Nutty, that I get to play against, hopefully. And then yeah, the biomechanic stuff. So those two things are what I'm excited for.
Well, Bayko, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking us through all of the things that go into being one of the top MLB The Show players in the world. Congratulations on winning this tournament, and good luck in Orlando this summer. Before we go, let all the people know where they can find you online and follow you.
Of course, so you can follow me on Twitter at Bayko818. And I now stream on kick.com/Bayko818.
And of course, we'll have links to all of those in the description so y'all can make sure and go follow Bayko here as he makes his run towards the Sunburst Circuit title later this summer. But that's going to wrap things up for this video, y'all. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave it a like and also subscribe for more esport interviews like this. And for all things MLB The Show news and updates, make sure you stay tuned to Sports Gamers Online. I'm Brandon Satterwhite with SGO. Thank you for watching.